Excellent. So it's right at 4 o'clock, and we have 6 participants joining us today. And I've just started the recording so that we can have the video on YouTube by tomorrow.
Okay.
And I did get a message from Yvonne that he is not able to join us today. He's not feeling well, and I certainly hope it's, I certainly hope he'll be well soon. But he wanted me to remind everyone that the Gallo website for employees is being updated daily with any new information and resources.
Yes, and also if folks are needing additional resources or further assistance in accessing said resources, please reach out to me as well. I've kind of got my hands on the pulse on that regard and happy to assist in any of the team's needs on that score.
Great, thank you, Powell. Would you mind putting your best contact number or email or information in the chat box for everyone?
Sure. I will do that during your session because I know I'm about to begin.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool.
All right.
No, go ahead.
Well, the floor is yours, Powell.
Cool. Well, yes, again, hello, everybody. And I'm glad I am joining you in full capacity this week. I was intending to be with you all last week, and thanks, Sarah, for kind of hosting this Tuesday Toolbox. I think I encourage everybody to tap into it and get as much as you can from it. So my piece today is I have compiled a list that I've sent out to Gallo's leadership, Yvonne, and HR, and I believe it's been emailed to the entire staff, field employees, people who work in the office. But obviously, I'm sure people are getting a lot of emails. Also, in that resource guide, there's a lot of text. And so I wanted to kind of hit on some of the big picture things that I wanted to make everybody aware of. And again, if there's any questions about it, please reach out to me offline and I can assist. But so I'm just going to kind of quickly go through this resource guide here around what are some of the things that are out.
Oh, Powell, somehow you became mute. Maybe your microphone is covered.
How about now?
Yes, that sounds good.
Okay, cool. I'm just going to hold it. We're very fortunate that we are still, Gallo is still working, and people are going to work. And so I want to commend Gallo for being able to maintain kind of all of our safety, but also keep people employed, because in certain sectors, the food service, people are getting laid off, and it's adding an economic element to this crisis. So not all of these resources may be applicable to the Gallo team because folks are still working. So I'm going to skip through some of the parts that are not as applicable, such as filing, assistance in filing for unemployment, for example. Let me just move down here. So testing sites, we'll just start with the kind of the healthcare side. We have a list of all of the testing sites that are up to date for folks to get tested if they feel. That information is in this document. I'm not going to read the details because I just want everyone to know what's in this document and what we have access to. So all the testing sites so the Gallo health insurance policy is also waiving copays for testing as well. So the city is running a whole host of kind of free testing sites, but if you want to go through the hospital or medical clinic you're most familiar with and not the city-run testing site, you can do so, and the Union Health Insurance Plan is waiving copays related to that. So I know it's usually, you know, not that much anyway, but it can go a long way, and I wanted folks to be aware of that. All right. So one thing that is, you know, affects everybody is the school shutdown. And I know a lot of our folks have children, and so even though our team might still be working, they might have their partner who has been laid off or is working from home, or may not, or their partner's working, or maybe they're a single parent, and you know, what to do about childcare now that schools are closed. And so there are definitely resources for childcare. And again, if you're in a situation like this where your child's school is closed, but you're still having to work and there's no other family players to assist in that, please get in touch with me, and that's something that I'm happy to work with you through. There are a few resources in the city. The other element is kind of linked to that, which is food. Food, I'm going to skip the kind of the SNAP benefit, kind of food stamp benefit, because I think most Gallo folks are above the economic threshold there. So I'm going to kind of skip through that part, but I know there are sites all over the city, and that's included in here, where schools are providing free to-go lunches and meals for kids, because oftentimes parents relied on the schools to feed the kids when they were there. And if that is a burden for you or your family, I definitely want to connect you with the various food pantries and also to-go meal services that the schools are doing for free. Now, there's also a lot of, if people are home or you know, cooking 3 meals a day full-time can be a full-time, and being with your kid can be a full-time job. There are a lot of meal prep delivery services that one that works with Liberty's Kitchen called Toolbox Louisiana, but there's a bunch of them in the city that are helping cater to people's needs so that they're not spending all their time in the grocery store, and you know, they're not going to sit down restaurants and whatnot. And it's also a healthy option as well. So I'm happy to, that's not in the resource guide, but if food is an issue for you all, please get in touch with me, and I can connect you guys to any of that as well. On the resource guide, there's also, if you have medication that you get, pharmacies, extended hours, and various ways to pick up medication. Again, I'm not going to go through all the details on that, but if you are needing to get prescriptions filled and wanting to do a quick and kind of safe way to do it, we have those options here. Like I mentioned before, there's information on all of the various food banks in the city that are doing kind of grocery giveaways. Actually, Gallo donated some protective equipment to the food bank at the Broadmoor Improvement Association. And so anyhow, happy to connect you all to some of the food pantries that are active and running in the city. Okay. I'm going to skip through the housing. If anyone, I know this may not be the case for our team, but if there are housing emergencies or needs, please get in contact with me. I'm not going to waste our time here going on that. However, housing might be an issue, maybe not for you, but for a relative, a family member, etc. All right. So I think everybody knows this, but utilities, so Entergy, Sewage and Water Board, Cox, Internet Services have all said that they are not doing any service shutdowns during the COVID-19 crisis. And so that if you are prioritizing which bills you have to pay, you are not at risk of having water, electricity shut down in the next few months. as a result of this. Again, if you are having trouble prioritizing what bills to pay and financial management, please reach out to me as well, and I can assist on that as well. So cell phone providers are also T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T are all doing a whole host, and it's in the resource guide, host of bill deferment programs, late fee waiving. And so if, again, you're figuring out, how much money to put towards food, how much money to put towards rent or a mortgage, how much to go cell phone bill, internet bill, keep all of this in mind, that these companies are doing various programs to make things easier for people in light of the crisis. So like I said, even though we're still working and Gallo is still working, maybe your partners are not, and that's putting an extra strain on the family's financial situation. So that information is here in the resource guide. Cell phone providers, car insurances, same thing. All the major Progressive, Allstate, Geico are all doing. They're not canceling coverage right now due to lack of payment. They are a little bit less detailed about what benefits they are giving. However, they all have these kind of special emergency plans and that they're advertising. And I would recommend reaching out to your car insurance insurer or me if it makes sense to defer paying some of your bills on those, because that they're have a program to support you, and you can put that money towards your rent or towards food or towards the pressing budgetary items that you need, like here and now. Car loans and car notes, similar thing. I have some resources on this. Granted, the car financing is a little bit, it's a wider web. However, many car loan lenders are also doing similar bill deferment things, and it kind of goes case by case. Again, if you have any questions or you want to reach out on and figure out what your options are as far as your car loan is concerned, reach out to me, and I'm happy to kind of press on those buttons as well with you. Also mental health resources. I haven't sent that out to the team, but I will. There are still a lot of mental health resources, counseling, therapy that is happening in our community to respond to this. Again, I won't spend too much of our time here now. If that's something you're interested in, I'm happy to be kind of a gateway and a connector to help you access those. I know it's a very stressful time. There's a lot I feel it myself. There's a lot of anxiety about the future, both on a health perspective, but also on a political and economic perspective. There's a lot of uncertainty. And so I can relate, and I'd like to offer some, let people know, please reach out if these are things that are weighing on you and needing support. So I've hit the kind of big line item things, and I know my kind of I'm approaching my 10 minutes here, but I will also say, and Sarah has brought it up a few times in our private conversations, there's a lot of kind of digital and in times of panic and crisis, people that do scams, and whether it's via phone, via email, via text, are all very active. So please be mindful if you get a call from somebody or text saying, "Oh yeah, here the $1,200 government cash infusement, call us now and we'll tell you about it." Be very diligent and diplomatic about both digital and online fraud and et cetera. Not to add to anyone's panic, but I wouldn't want you guys to get in a situation thinking, "Oh, this is a resource out there," and it's really not. So, yeah, those are kind of the big line item resources that are out in the community. And again, I'm kind of your hands-on deck person. If I know everybody's situation is a little bit different. I'm happy to work with you confidentially and privately on whatever's going on. And yeah, hopefully we can kind of get there all together. And I'm hoping this Tuesday toolbox can be a kind of a reassuring space for all of us to connect with each other and to know that we're going through this all together. And because I'm sure, going to work and then being stuck in the house, all of the normal coping skills of hanging out, going for a walk, going to the bar, going to a movie, playing sports. I know there's a bunch of Gallo guys who play in a softball league. All the softball leagues are shut down. And granted, that's not a crisis, but and I me personally, I'm on a baseball team, and that's all been canceled. So a lot of the ways we deal with our stress, are being shut down, and so want to really be mindful of that. And all the tough life situations that we have previous, whether it's legal situations or health or family or custody, all of that is being further pushed on and tested at the moment. So I'm here for you all, and I know Sarah is as well, and hopefully this toolbox can be a benefit during this really difficult time.
Thank you, Powell. That was a great overview of what companies are doing to help us get through this time financially and to take care of ourselves and our health. And I do want to say that that we're going to, there will be a survey presented to you at the end of this video, and that we would like for you to give us some feedback about how well this format is working for you, and any additional information you'd like to have or changes in format. We'd love to hear from you about that. So when you close out of the meeting today, you will be guided to a survey online. I started this project with Powell and Yvonne and Maria back in November, I believe it was, and we never saw this coming. We wanted to have a resilience building program for 2020. And this is exactly the type of situation in which resilience skills are so important. We had no way of knowing that this was coming our way. Our original focus was going to be on coping with work situations and managing stress. I'm so pleased that we have this infrastructure set up to bring you important information now that we're in the middle of a global pandemic. And being one of the hotspots in the United States is especially stressful. And I don't know about you, but this is my first global pandemic. It's not my first disaster. I think that we are all going through this for the first time together, and the first time is always the most difficult experience. I want to say that by tuning in today and learning about ways to be supported and to support yourself is a great way to get started. Today's tool for our Tuesday toolbox is out of the wellness repertoire of resilience training. We're going to pick up where we left off last week with noticing where we are in the room, taking a few deep breaths, and we're going to learn how to do a check-in that provides us with sort of like taking your vital signs, but for your emotional health and for your feelings and the situation that you are in today. Of course, it's going to change on a day-by-day basis. So I do highly recommend practicing this check-in tool on a daily basis. It's natural, as Powell has already stated, to feel anxious, afraid, and sad through all the changes we've had in just a few short weeks. We've lost contact with friends and coworkers and family. This is a particularly difficult week with Easter, Ramadan, and the Passover celebrations, which are all family focused and group oriented. And I see in my social media pages, so many of my friends are having their faithful services and rituals and dinners together online. This is all very new for us, but I love that they are not letting it go and that they're creating a new way to share their faith during this particularly holy week. With that said, there is a need to soothe ourselves. It feels unusual not to be holding our usual traditions, and it feels unusual to have different routines. And the upheaval in our lives does cause the anxiety, sleeplessness, difficulty coping at times. I want you to know that this type of emotional discomfort is normal. We are all feeling this and we're all in this together. Let's start learning to do the check-in by refreshing our practice of the calming technique that we did last week. So I'd like for everyone to, I have a couple of notes if you don't mind. I'm gonna stay on track with my notes. Let's refresh by, from last week and do the self-soothing activity called a check-in. It'll take us about 10 minutes. And I invite you to get comfortable in your chair, or if you're standing, to find a comfortable posture. Notice the weight of the floor beneath your feet, the support that you're getting from your chair, from the floor. I'd like you to notice what you hear in the room. Name what you might smell or what you might hear. Name what you touch and what do you see in the room around you. And if your mind wanders while you're taking this inventory of your present situation, it's okay. Our mind wanders. Just bring it back and pick up where you left off. And now that you've noticed your surroundings, take 3 deep breaths. And the way we did this last time was to place our hands over our abdomen, and we can feel the inhale pushing our hand out and count to 4. And as we exhale, we feel our abdomen falling, slowly exhaling. And let's take 3 deep breaths before we start the check-in. Now, last week I told you these 2 exercises are easily done with your eyes open. Today I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, because your attention will turn inward when your eyes are closed. And if you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, it's okay to find a point, maybe something hanging on your wall, or maybe the leaf of a plant in front of you, something that you can focus your gaze on, and begin to turn your attention inward. I'm going to close my eyes and do this practice with you. And you don't need to say these things out loud, but I will, to guide you through a check-in. We bring our attention inward, and the first thing we check is where there might be tension, muscle tension, feeling pinched with tendons or muscles. Are your shoulders tight? If they're tight, scrunch your shoulders up to your ears and then let them go. If you need to do it again, scrunch your shoulders up to your ears and then let them relax. Are you like me and find yourself clenching your teeth and your jaw is tight? Kind of fake a yawn. Move your jaw around a bit and loosen it up, and then Just let it hang there for a moment. Let's let some of those muscles relax. Maybe you feel tension in your chest over your sternum. Maybe that tension is causing your breath to be shallow. Notice that if you take a deeper breath and feel the breath filling your lungs and filling the space underneath the sternum, that those muscles can begin to loosen and relax. Okay, now that we've done a check-in with our physical feelings, we're going to move on to an emotional check-in. I'd like for you to notice what you are feeling emotionally. You may first only feel discomfort, but that emotional discomfort has a name. Try to name that feeling. For me, it's grief. I'm sad to lose my everyday contact with people in my community. You may be feeling something different. Take a moment to recognize what that feeling is. And if your mind wanders, that's okay. Just bring it back. Bring it back and name that discomfort that you feel emotionally. The last check-in of this exercise is to name something that you are grateful for, that you appreciate, something that you are especially thankful for today. I personally am thankful that you have let me bring you some of my experiences with mind-body medicine and share ways to relax during a stressful time. I consider it a privilege, and I am grateful for that. Now take a moment and think, what are you grateful for today? What do you appreciate? Name one thing that you are thankful for. I do want to caution you as you're naming this emotion and naming your appreciation and thankfulness to avoid judging yourself. We have stereotypes that might say to us, you shouldn't feel that way, or you shouldn't care about that. And this thought will take you down the road of feeling guilty or shamed, or maybe less than. And it's just not true. These stereotypes are just figments of our imagination. The emotions are real, and you're okay for feeling them. And whatever you're thankful for, no matter how small it might seem to someone else, it's important to you, and that's what matters. So if you catch your mind trying to critique what you've named in your feelings or in your thankfulness, let it go. Just let it pass by. Now that we're at the end of our check-in, I'd like to take a moment, invite you to slowly bring your attention back into the room. You might want to shuffle your feet or wiggle your fingers. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes, bring your attention back into the room. And there's one more thing left to do, and that's to share what you feel, what you felt, the emotion you felt, and the thing that you're grateful for. You don't have to share it with me and Powell. You're welcome to if you'd like to in the chat box. But pick someone in your life, a friend, a family member, anyone that you go to for support, and share what that feeling was or is and what you're grateful for. Because when we're this vulnerable in this type of a crisis, the only way we'll get through it is by sharing and supporting each other. And that's my talk for today. I think we have just run out of time, but I am willing to stay a couple of minutes. If anyone would like to let me know if that was difficult to do, if you would like some additional training on how to do a check-in, or if you'd just like to give Powell and I a little bit of feedback in the chat box, feel free to do that. Powell, do you have any last remarks? Oh, I think you're on mute.
I muted myself. Sorry. No, I think I don't feel. I think the way you wrapped it and concluded was perfect.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. So we'll be here again next Tuesday for Tuesday's Toolbox at 4 p.m. And there will be an uploaded video on YouTube. We will send you the link so that you may review the video or you might share with your friends and coworkers. I want to thank you everyone again. We really appreciate you joining us today. So long.